Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Call to Adventure is a game that I solely wanted to like. I want to like a good story-driven game, and I love stories. When I'm watching a movie, reading a book, I love the intricacies of a story. I like video games with stories. Most people who watch this channel know that abstract games don't pull me in because the theme, the IP, or the story just isn't there. So when something is billed as a story game, my interest peaks up. I don't know what the designers or publishers of this game did, but they got a lot of people talking about this game and how great the story was, how this was such a fantastic story-driven game. So I immediately jumped on board. Boy, was I sold a bill of goods. What this game actually is just flipping over these tiles, these rune tiles, these plastic pieces, which in effect are just two-sided, and then matching up these cards, and you'll get these cards. And I guess if you put these cards together, I could create a story around them. Like, a beggar taught me something when I was young, and I became a knight. I mean, it's very basic. I mean, it's almost like you would see a beautiful work of art, and then somebody drew something with, like, you know, South Park type characters or a stick man over here, and they're like, sure, it tells a story, but, you know, the art isn't there. I am bringing the story to the table. You're giving me 3 pieces of art or 6 pieces of art, and I am connecting the story, which is fine, but it really wasn't what I was thinking I would be doing in this game, which is really just collecting icons and creating these ruins things. So the story to me was like very overdrawn for me. Now, I don't blame, really, and I was kind of teasing earlier, I don't really blame anybody for that. Perhaps I should have done more research. Perhaps I should have known what I was doing when I was listening to certain reviewers or people, you know, hearing the chatter about this game. But I wouldn't say this is a deep story game. You know, maybe like something like Seventh Continent or something like that. We're going to be getting something more of a story. I would say it's more like a Rory Cubes type game where you can roll some dice and, you know, pitch patch a story together. And the artwork is beautiful and it really does draw you in. But there isn't much game here. This is, you know, you're generating a set of cards that inevitably will tell a story as you go through. But even me, I think something like Pursuit of Happiness would blow this game out of the water with not only the game, but the story that it tells, even though they have a lot of similarities to me in the finished product of how they tell a story. I would prefer the story that's told in Pursuit of Happiness rather than what's happening here. Now, my brain can kind of piece these images together and create a story, and that was kind of neat, but the game itself was so dry and boring and uninteresting that it didn't really leave me with anything or any comfort in that. So, Call to Adventure, I would say this is an absolute purge for me. I would recommend anybody try this game out before they purchase it. This is one that absolutely purged after just a few plays, which I don't normally do. But this one was just a complete stinker to me. And my apologies to anybody who may like this game. I know it has quite a bit of backing in this, but I am definitely not one of them. And this is one of those times where somebody tells you like a TV show is great, or a movie is great, or a piece of art is great, and you just look at it and you're like, what? I just don't get it. Fantastic that you like it. I'm not saying you're wrong for liking it. All I'm saying is that I looked at this piece of art and I was like, I don't get it. It's me, not you, maybe. It's me, maybe not the game. But I have got to say that I am probably in the majority, if not maybe a vocal minority, that this game just did not live up to what I was sold that it was going to be. Absolute pass for me. For those that like it, so be it, but a purge. Here's Call to Adventure. The components, we'll take a look at Craft Your Hero, Claim Your Destiny. Very striking box here with this guy going to the light side or the dark side. 1 to 4 players, 13 plus, about 30 to 60 minutes to play. When you open it up, you're going to get some advertisements for quite an old game here. Boss Monster must be selling well to have such an old game. We have the rule book, which we'll take a look at in a few minutes in more detail. You're going to get a board here for the players. Now, mine is a little bit warped. Not sure if you can see that. And I think the only real difference here is going to be this color up in here. There's some little differences there on those. And you're going to get enough for all of the players. When you open it up, you're going to get a custom insert here. You can see you're going to have place for these giant tarot-sized cards. These things are really big. Mine are warping just a tad. You're going to have this where you can put these tokens and stuff in that you'll be using. Now, these are pretty thick little plastic pieces with different spots. These feel actually pretty amazing. These are great components. I don't really like the use of them in the game per se, which I'll get into for the game, but quality-wise, pretty fantastic. You're going to get some of these little red plastic markers that will be used. Another card set here, and you can see the artwork is all original and very, very cool. I do like the artwork in this game, and I think that it shares repeating that how good it is. You can see it does repeat sometimes, though. And you're going to have a score sheet that you'll have. You can always print these out, laminate them, or print more on the internet. That's kind of what you're going to get there. So those are the components. Actually very, very good. I like the quality of everything very well. I like the artwork quite a bit, etc. Great job. So here's a rule book. You're going to get different art than was on the front of the box. Always appreciated. Picture of the components. Not a whole lot here. So you can have some runes, experience tokens, your cards, your story cards, etc. And a little bit of an overview here of how things will go. Setup over here, you can see how you prepare the story decks when you're playing. So this is all set up with pictures. This is what you're going to do on a turn, how you're going to gain traits, the ability runes that you'll be able to get, how they kind of work, other actions, and how to end an act here. Ending the game, and then you can expand it out with allies, and there's additional cards with adversaries, etc. you can join. Variant for solos and co-op play if you want to play like that. And the probability, what you're going to need to know as you're flipping these over as you're playing the game. Here's a fact on the back. There's also some pretty good stuff online. It always worrisome to me when you have what's really a simple game, but you have a fact already. And the back of it is a quick start guide and a little bit of a player overview. Good job on the rulebook. I didn't really have any problems when I was playing the game. Very good rulebook. So to teach you how to play the game, I kind of want to show this too, because I feel like this is very how I would teach the game. I would show people this. So whoever has the highest destiny points is going to be the winner. You're going to play 3 acts in the game. As the game goes on, you're going to get triumph or tragedy points, depending on, if you take the lighter path or the darker path, plus any experience you're able to get, which will give you your destiny or your victory points for the game, if you will. So that's what players are going to be competing on this little formula here. So triumph plus tragedy plus experience equals your destiny, which is really just your victory points. As the game starts out, you will choose 2 of these cards that will be given to each player randomly. Each player will then take a look at the cards and choose which one they want. Do you want to be a mighty conqueror or a high arcanist? And it's going to tell you how you're going to score at the end of the game. So let's say I chose that one, and I would do that for each of these, a beggar or a settler. I'm just going to choose these randomly, but you would strategically choose these. Seeker of truth or a sworn protector. Then each player will get a hero card, which will be hidden from them. And everybody will receive 3 experience tokens. Once you have your card selected, you are ready to progress, and you're ready to start the game. So this is how your player mat will be set up. You will have your cards here. You'll be ready to go. You can see what you need here on the side and kind of the rules of the game set up. So this will become your player board. This is going to set up and represent your story as you progress through the game. Here you're going to have your origin, your settler, and what you'll be starting the game out with. This will be your motivation. Once per turn, you may spend experience to gain that rune until the end of the turn. And then finally, this will be your destiny, which is on the right of the board. You're allowed to look at this at any time, but the other players cannot see it. This over here is going to be your corruption tracker. This is going to represent your morality and your innocence as you go through the game. The higher up, you'll be more towards the light. Down here, you'll be more towards the darkness. Each time you gain a corruption, you can move down on the list here. Every time you gain a virtue, you'll move to the positive side. Your position will dictate what cards you can play. Here you can only play the light cards. Here you may only play the dark cards. And these locations you can play either. So this will be how the storyboard will be set up. Based on the number of players, you'll have a different number of cards that will be out. Here are the decks here, and here are the face-up cards. So these are the 1s, the 2s, and the 3rd arrow. So each turn you can either gain a trait or face a challenge. Let me show you what a trait would look like. So here it would be a trait. This is studious. This is what it would gain for me. You may only gain this if you have this rune or spend an experience. In this case, I already have the settler, which already gives me that icon that I'm looking for. So I've met the prerequisite for this, so I can take this for free. I would place it like this, so you can easily see what icons you're looking at here. And I would place it under my origin because I got it out of the first row. Then a new card will come out, and those will be available for people to select from. And what you're going to do if you want to go on a challenge, you will look here, and it will tell you that the difficulty number that you need to have and the runes that you're able to amass there. So what you would do is you would take the applicable runes. You can always have the 3 starter runes, and you kind of do this, and you roll them like dice, I guess. And based on what you get, you can see a handy-dandy chart here, which will tell you what the runes will meet. If you meet the qualifications or the difficulty level at the top, then you will have successfully gained this, and you would have trained as a spy, and then this would go underneath this for normal. So if you want to go to a challenge, what you'll do is you'll look here on the card, you'll see the challenge amount and the applicable icons that you can have. If you also look at the bottom, you can train as a killer, not just as a spy. Adds +1 to the difficulty, but you have these runes that you can have. Now you can always cast the 3 regular runes if you want to, plus any that are applicable that are on your story here. And what you do is you would take these and you would roll them. And based on what you rolled, you can look here at the handy dandy chart, kind of tells you what the different stuff does. And if you were able to meet this, or defeat it, or beating the challenge, then you would take that card and it would be added to your story. Maybe in this case, it would be placed here because you've trained as a spy. And that's kind of what you would do for those cards for the challenges. Other things you can do on a turn, if you don't like the cards that are up, you can choose the discarding experience, and you could discard a card out of the row, replacing it with a different card if you so chose. You also might have card effects or play a hero or anti-hero cards, which would be like this one, second chance, face a challenge an opponent just failed. If you succeed, skip your next turn. So this will allow you to maybe take a challenge somebody else that you think you might do well at. Once you're out of actions, your turn will end. When you have added 3 cards to an act, then that act would end for you. If you have 3 added to this, then you would go on and you would flip over round 2, and you would move up here and start doing these challenges, building to your story. Now, people can still go and get 2s. Now that you've entered that area, other players now have access to this area. At the end of the game, you reveal your destiny card. You add up all your destiny points underneath your card here. See how much your score is. 1 point for each experience token. Every hero card you played is worth 1, which will be up here in the corner of the card. Every anti-hero will be worth 1 also. Then any triumph or tragedy points you gain, whoever has the most points is the winner. Now there are additional cards you can add. There's ally and adversary cards that can be added to the fun, that can be help, and there's some solo and co-op rules to this game that can be added. The majority of the game is building up this story. So you're kind of telling a story, and you're taking these runes, and you're flipping them over and kind of seeing what happens, whether they succeed and fail. And at the end of it, you have this little bit of a story going on that you can share, and the experience of going these Destiny cards. I find it to be very abstract. You know, I'm not really big on this kind of luck involved in a game. Very, very simple concept here. You're going to be gaining these runes. You'll be figuring out where you want to go, gain a trait or go a challenge. And a little bit of a story. Maybe you fall in love with your first love, and you go to unlock a secret vault, which led you on an expedition, and you stole some stuff from a rich guy. But your childhood friend ended up dying on the way. So there's a whole big story that can go along with this. Who should buy this game? I would say, look, I mean it when I say it. Try this game before you buy it. This is definitely a game that you're going to want to see. If you like how you flip the runes over in Arkham Horror LCG, then maybe this would be more for you. But for my taste, absolute Purge, not something I want to invest a lot of time in. And quite frankly, I think I can get my story in better places than this. Even something like House of Danger, which had very limited game into it, I liked it more than this. The artwork in this game is a saving grace. It's beautiful, beautiful artwork. I think some people are really going to like this game. But I have to give you my feelings and my opinion in this review, which is try it before you buy it. Absolute Purge for me. Pass. I don't ever want to go back to this game. Goodbye. Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you liked it, please like it and hit that little subscribe button. That really helps out the channel. Lets us know that you're getting the videos that you want. If you agreed or disagree with what I said, feel free to comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I promise that I will comment back. Thanks for watching, and everybody else, keep playing.